All right, welcome. This is the Dynasty Tailgate podcast presented to you by the Semi Pro Fantasy Sports Podcast Network. My name is Billy Mansell at Ombre Vendor. We are here to talk some combine. The measurements are going on right now. We've got the tests are going to happen a little bit later today. The running backs are there. The defensive players have arrived. The QBs are there. So I cannot wait to get into the rest of this. So first, let's get into this intro. It's Tailgate. All right, welcome in. It's good to have you here today. We are going to talk some combine news. My dog's excited about it too, apparently. So, combine. Can't really ever say that this is a make or break for a lot of players. I'm not gonna lie. This year it could hurt players more than help. I'm not 1,000% sure if it's going to help anyone. I think there's some later round guys that are going to get a little bit of a boost. Some of these first round guys are just there to flex that they're just better than other people, and I can appreciate that. That is something that I think is a very underutilized ability. It's just the competitiveness. You just want to prove that you're just in fact better. So we have a bunch of players not participating in workouts. Evan Neal among them, projected number one pick. Andrew Booth, cornerback from Clemson, is not going to test. He hurt himself a couple days ago practicing for the 40-yard dash and is going to be unable to participate. Tyler Linderbaum has been nursing a foot injury that kept him out of the Senior Bowl as well. So he's not going to be available to and then obviously like Jayson Williams won't be there because he's still coming back from that ACL tear. So there's a lot of interesting things that are going on with the combine today. There's a couple interesting little notes before I get into as far as the measurements and what those are looking like. Derek King, the quarterback from Miami, he was at Houston, then he went to Miami. He measured in at an 8 or 5'8", which is pretty short for a quarterback. Well, okay, let's be real. It's completely way too short for a quarterback. He revealed during his little press conference point where people interviewing him that he is going to in fact work out as a wide receiver as well. It's a smart call for him, honestly. It gives him just a double dip, gives NFL GMs a chance to see him work out at both sections. So I can't wait to see exactly what he's able to do. Apologize for my dog. She's she's excited. So let's get into the combine. Let's get into what we've seen so far. We'll start right at the top. The headliner, Kenny Pickett, 8.5, or he's got 8-inch hands, 8.5-inch hands. It's not exactly the most exciting number. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not going to really get people off the chance to not believe him. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry about that. So it's not going to get people to believe more in Kenny Pickett. If anything, this is just going to prove what people have already known about him, is that his hands are small. And it's not going to keep him out of the NFL. It's not going to keep him out of the first round. He's going to be able to do both things, and that's going to be perfectly fine for him. It's a red flag. Let's not be coy about it. Let's not try to hide an elephant in the room. It is a red flag. There has only been a handful of players that have had 8.5-inch hands and been able to succeed in the NFL. Michael Vick was one of them. I don't really think that Kenny Pickett projects to be anywhere in the same lane as Michael Vick. So there's only one NFL quarterback right now that has lower than 9-inch hands, and that is Taysom Hill. Take that for what it's worth. I think that there's a possibility that he'll be fine in the long run. It's just we're going to see something unprecedented here. And I know that there's going to be a lot of draft scouts and a lot of analysts and people that are going to say, well, who cares? Or like the GMs are going to be like, I never cared about a hand size as long as you can throw the ball. I get it. It's just a red flag, honestly. Like, let's be real. It's giving you another chance to say maybe we don't go all in on him. That's all. That's all it is. So I don't want to overreact. Kenny Pickett, good quarterback. He's going to get a chance in the first round. Cannot wait to see it. All right, let's move on to Drake London. He is not testing this week either because he's coming back from an ankle injury. He had surgery maybe 3 months ago, and he's still feeling that he's not at 100%. He measured in under 6'4", which is interesting because people were arguing whether he was 6'4" or 6'5". Turns out he's 6'3", and very close to 6'4", but still, it's important. He's not 6'4", he's 6'3", and he came in just under 220 pounds. Now, that part I'm very interested in. He was listed in college as being a 215, 214, which is pretty small, but 220 is a lot better. I think more teams will be interested in him at the 219, 220 weight. So I'm glad to see that he put on that little extra weight. That makes no question marks in my book for him. So that is a very good note going into this. I think Drake London, I think him not testing today this week is very, very, very important. And I think that this is only going to have him held to a higher regard, and it might boost his stock up to be wide receiver 1 in this draft. I have Treylon Burks there right now, and I think a lot of people that I'm talked to also think so. He weighed 6'3", about 225. Treylon Burks did. That's a good number. I like that a lot. He looks like a force. He said as much in the interviews that he's done so far that he's modeling his game after Deebo Samuel, and I think that's how you're going to use a Treylon Burks at the next level. He, a lot of I've said kind of like an AJ Brown type situation. Okay, maybe he's not AJ Brown, maybe not. That's fine. AJ Brown's a freak of nature, but could he be close to what Deebo Samuel is? Sure. I think he's a beefed up, better Deebo Samuel. Can't hate that. But back to Drake London real quick. He looks like Mike Williams of the Chargers. I know a lot of people are kind of, well, Mike Williams, what's he really done? He had one good season. Like, come on now. Okay, we're just going measurables here. He's built like Kenny Galladay. He's better. I think he's better than the contested catch receiver. I think that you can use him in more, more creative ways than that. He could be a possession receiver at 6'3" even. So I think just keeping him at that level is kind of, not right. And Drake London will be fine. So I think a team is going to, put him up a little bit higher on their board because of how he measured out. So pretty excited to see that. Glad that he is able to get, those good measurables. Okay, let's move on to Garrett Wilson. He also measured out today. 5'11". Yeah. I think we were all hoping for 6 foot tall. I'm not going to lie. I don't think that him being 5'11" is going to necessarily kill him. It's not going to hurt him. It's just one of those, you don't love seeing that number, it's just, yeah. I still think if he plays right, he's going to measure out to be an Odell Beckham Jr. Still see him going in the first round, so I don't want to, make it seem like he's going to drop in any way, shape, or form. I think he is locked in to the Browns. I don't really think that there's any question to that. So I think that, him being there, him being 5'11", I will say, so that was the bad part of it, but the good part of Garrett Wilson is he has gigantic hands. He's tied for the biggest hands. No, not the biggest hands of the draft, but he is tied with, I think it's Treylon Burks or somebody for having 9 3/4 or 5/8 hands. Those are giant hands, and that would be very useful going in to the next level. Chris Olave was a 6 foot tall. Him and Garrett Wilson are about the same as far as like the measurables go. You would love to see that 6 number next to Garrett Wilson, but sometimes you're not always going to see that, and that's okay. Just is what it is. All right, let's do some quick hitters on some other things. John Mechie says that he'll be back in not 6 weeks. He'll be back in June. He's been out since the semifinal game when Alabama was playing Cincinnati. So it'll be good for him to get back in June. I still think, he measured in at under 6 feet tall as well. I still see him as maybe a 4th round wide receiver. Nothing wrong with that. He's got a mountain to climb, and I hope that he gets there. Sam Howell's face looks very tired, and I don't know what to make of that. It's a little personal thing. As I watched him give his press conference and I watched him up on the podium yesterday, I was like, is Sam Howell hungover? No, surely not, right? Reckless speculation. I want to put put something around this right now. That is reckless speculation. But Sam Howell, he might stayed up a little late on Tuesday night. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Playing a little Call of Duty or something. I get it. Happens. Charleston Rambo has a Texas Chainsaw Massacre tattoo on his leg. Loved that. Loved seeing that. Charleston Rambo, he started out his career at Oklahoma, and underused, I guess. You could probably make a case for that. It was like him and CeeDee Lamb when they were playing with Jalen Hurts. He was much better for Miami than he was for Oklahoma. It's just it wasn't a good fit when he was playing with Lincoln Riley. But when he got to Miami, he unlocked a little something. He broke the record for most yards in Miami history for a wide receiver for one season. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool little note. And I love that Charleston Rambo has a Texas Chainsaw Massacre tattoo on his leg. Just great. All right. As of yesterday, Malik Willis's only official interview was with the Panthers. I think this week is going to be huge for Malik Willis. This week is how Malik Willis is going to get paid. You see his tribute or his traits of being able to run as fast as he can. He's not going to run this week. That has been confirmed. He doesn't need to show it, but it would be cool to have the number next to his name. And he might do it at his pro day, but he's not going to do it at the combine. So that is not something to be watching out for. Malik Willis is going to sneak up here in the top 10. There's going to be somebody that trades up to get to him. If Carolina doesn't take him, maybe they trade out of their pick. Maybe they try to load up on some draft capital and move back, which is fine. I would still see somebody like the Steelers making that move. If nobody trades up, I think he's going to the Commanders in Washington. And I don't hate it. I just, you got to know what you're in for. You got to know that you're in for a quarterback that is going to need some help, going to need some work. And he's going to need a quarterback coach that can really help develop him because he's coming in as a very raw talent. He has everybody has said this week, he is killing his interviews with every team that he goes into. His ability to learn and pick up a playbook has been something that everyone's marveled at so far. So I just, I love Malik Willis as a prospect. I'm not positive what kind of quarterback he's going to be in the NFL. I'd say coming in with the kind of legs that he's coming in with, that is a very, unique trait. Not a lot of players will have something like that with them. But that arm accuracy, it needs work. And I hope that he can get the help that he needs when he gets to the NFL. Because we need at least one of these quarterbacks to hit. And Kenny Pickett just shot up a red flag into the sky. So Malik Willis is going to have to carry the load, it looks like, at least so far. Let's move on to my next one, which is Jayson Williams is ahead of schedule. If we weren't already sure that Jayson Williams was a freak of nature, him already being out of a walking boot 2 weeks after having the surgery 6 weeks ago, that is insanity. People were actually asking if you want to maybe try to work out or do some kind of the drills this week. Are you crazy? Just tore his ACL a month and a half ago. That's insane. It's insane for him to already be back at this point. But I'm marveled. I can't lie. Like a lot of people had him as the first receiver overall, and he is a speed demon. So him being that high is not anything to worry about. But at the same time, I backed him off a little bit. Had him as the wide receiver 4. I think I'm going to stick with that. I think London goes before him. I think Wilson goes before him, and I think Burks goes before him. And then Jameson Williams will be right after that. A team is going to get a steal, whether it's the Patriots, whether it's the Raiders. One of those guys in the early 20s, I think, is going to take a swing at him unless somebody trades up that is really enamored with him. So we'll see exactly who ends up with him. But wherever he ends up, you're getting a freak athlete. So there's no worries there. One of the biggest potential risers at the combine this week is George Pickens. He measured out at 6'3", 195. I have concerns about possible durability issues with George Pickens because those measurables aren't like great. His hand size was only 8 3/4, which that's most of these wide receivers are above 9-inch hands. I know. Okay, so here's the thing. I know hand size is not the end all be all. It's kind of like how it used to be with the 40 times. The 40 time, oh, what was this 40 time? Like, oh no, like there's a lot, there's still a lot to go into a player rather than their hand size or how fast they can run. I get it, and so do you. Like we all get it. It's fine. But George Pickens, you needed to see more from him from Georgia this year, and you just didn't get to. So kind of sucks. I wish it wasn't that way, but I just needed more from him, and he did not come through. But he'll still be second rounder, and depending on the landing spot, as you know, that's basically the motto of this podcast. It depends on their landing spot, but I could see him making some damage at the next level. The only other one that like really stuck out to me because I thought it was very odd was Wandale Moore. Measured in at 5'8", 178 pounds, 27 inch arm span thing, whatever that test is called. That's weird. Strange. I don't know. I don't think it's going to harm him in any way. I think he's going to be fine either way. Honestly, he's going to be good at the next level. I don't want to make it seem like anything like that, but it's weird that his arm length is that short. I guess was how you would say it. So Wan'Dale Robinson, I still think you're going to look for him in probably the 4th round, maybe a 3rd round if if a team really gets ambitious. I just can't see it. We'll quickly get to tight ends. Jeremy Ruckert is not going to work out this week. Jeremy Ruckert, little puzzling to me. I thought this week could be a big boost for him because I'm not sure that he's cracked the top 4 tight ends just yet. And that's just how it is. And I think that he left a little money on the table by not doing it. But, and here's the thing, and I just want to quickly get into this too. Not working out the combine is not going to kill you. It's fine. It's going to be fine in the long run. Evan Neal's not working out. He's already counting his money. Some of these other guys, they just don't feel, they woke up and ate breakfast and it just didn't feel right. Like whatever, it's fine. It's not. This is just a help for some people. You don't want to hurt yourself. That's why Drake London's not going to test. Because if Drake London, who still is coming back from that ankle injury, if he ran any slower than he was projected to, people are going to freak out and start moving him down boards, or teams are going to entirely cross him off if he ran like a 4.6. And who else ran a 4.6? Cooper Kupp. He's okay, right, guys? Like, fantasy football players out there. You think Cooper Kupp running a 4.6 really affected him in the long run? No, it didn't. So I can understand why players would rather do it in a more comfortable environment. To be honest, the combine was really made for pre 2000s kind of, the combine used to be a place where you could bring all the players and you could bring all the GMs and you could all just watch all of the players, so that because schools couldn't send GMs and everybody out to all these different schools. They couldn't, Zoom in to watch or, anything like that. They couldn't conference, like that. It wasn't made for that. So it's kind of evolved over time. And so these players that are missing the combine, it's okay. They're there to just talk to teams, get a little gauge, and then they'll do their pro day, which we'll cover the pro days too. All of the pro days will be within the next month, and they'll get plenty of information there, and they will be able to talk to teams more one-on-one than they will this week, because like Malik Willis had only had one interview. They had contacted all 32 other teams, but they hadn't actually, he hadn't actually gotten any kind of formal interviews other than the Panthers. That's the number one quarterback off the board. So I just, if a player is not at the combine, it's not necessarily like detrimental to them. It's not going to affect and kill their draft stock, but it's not going to help and it may hurt. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what happens. We'll see. Couple more players I just want to talk about quickly. Romeo Doubs from Nevada. He was at the Senior Bowl. Liked him. He was the fastest guy at the Senior Bowl. Cannot wait to see his 40 time. I like his style. I think we're too low on him going into draft season. Romeo Doubs could be that steal that you get in a later round because he's going to end up getting picked up, I don't know, 4th round or so. Maybe, I don't know, if he runs fast at the 40, he might end up sneaking up the board even quicker. As well as we're still too low on Christian Watson, everybody's favorite sleeper this time of year. 6'4", he's like 210. That's great. Those are great measurables. That's fine. We can watch him do the 40 time as well. I can't wait to see what he is able to do. There's some people that want to think Malik Willis might, everybody's going to, the teams are going to do what they usually do this time of year, which is boost a quarterback up into the top 3 or 4 selected. That's not going to happen this year. It's just not. I know everyone out there thinks that just because there's a quarterback that's, did well at the combine, he's going to get it into the top. No, it's not going to happen. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be a good quarterback year every year. And I promise you, if a team either traded up or, the Jaguars obviously wouldn't take one, but if somebody traded with the Jaguars up to that number 1 pick to take Malik Willis, it's just a mistake. It just is. You made a bad call. It's not that he's not worth taking high in the draft. He's just not worth sending off picks and mortgaging a little bit of your future to try to get him. I think that you could end up getting him later, and it's where he should go. It's okay. Not every year has to be, let's freak out and pick Mitch Trubisky at number 2. That's not going to happen every year. Sorry, I don't know why I just, decided to sideswipe the Bears, but not every year is going to be that way, and that's kind of what you're looking at here with Malik Willis. He's a good quarterback, and he's going to be fine at the next level given the right team. If you're drafting in the top 3 or 4, you're not the right team. And if you're trading players away, well, you're trading picks, but they will turn into players. If you're trading that away to get him, you're also making a mistake. You could probably find a player with one of those picks that will be of equal value to you. So just wait. Next year, 2023, great class of quarterbacks. Just wait for them. It'll be fine. Okay. Next week, I will not be on this podcast. I will be in New Orleans. So Joe and Josh from the Offensive Points, you've seen Joe on this podcast before, but Joe and Josh will actually be taking all of the information from the combine. I will probably be writing out most of it for them. So yay for me, a little extra work, but they will be on this podcast next week. They will be the ones going through the combine and kind of explaining out what happened, what we looked at, who are the risers, who are the fallers. I just wanted to get on this week and kind of talk about a little bit what's been going on so far in the combine. And, we've really only gotten interviews and a couple of measurements, but I just, wanted to get a little primer in this week. So this is only part 1 of the combine coverage. Next week will be part 2, and you'll have Joe and Josh for that. So From everybody here at the Semi Pro Fantasy team, we'll see you next week.